Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Gaede for you. Eric Bay on the screen there. I got Azur Lane, Atago, and Swirsky. What's that? You say you don't have either of those guys? You can go ahead and slap on Sims and Arlie Burke would be a good combo. Sims will give you more health on your destroyers. Burke improves the accuracy. The German destroyers are the only line that I'd personally consider using him on, but we'll see when we're doing some shooting here. Sometimes the aim is a little wonky on these German guns. So here we got a game, ring, capture the base mode, and look at all these destroyers, 5 per side. So we're going to be checking this game out. It's actually got a pretty fun ending, so hopefully you stick around and enjoy this one. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We've hit 18,000 subs on the channel. Appreciate all the support. And whenever we get to 20,000, if and when it ever happens, we'll undoubtedly be doing a lot of giveaways. Now, about 40% of the people watching all these videos aren't subscribed, so conceivably we could actually get to 20,000 really quickly and we could start showering you guys with some giveaways. But as it is, it might take quite a while, so we'll see if that ever happens. Anyways, jumping into this game here, look at the deployment here. We got 3 destroyers on this side. Now these guys are sticking close to each other, and that's making me nervous right off the bat. We got all these destroyers running around. There could be a lot of torps going off, and if you're that close to another destroyer like that, one or two, a dual salvo launch could potentially double strike both those guys. So I'm getting a little nervous there. I'm making sure to get a little bit of space here. We got the lone battleship closing in on here. Now, whenever we're analyzing ship compositions in a game, if we have like one of a certain ship, that value goes up. Okay, so Texas, it's capable of one-shotting all the cruisers in the game, which are capable of wrecking all the destroyers, which are the vast majority of the ships in the game. So by the fact that it's just a lone ship, that Texas does have a little bit of added value, and it's going to go up a little bit in terms of target priority, as opposed to normally we're all about targeting the destroyers, but this game is basically a fleet of destroyers on both sides. So their value, while still valuable, is diminished because it's not capture or it's not domination mode. Destroyers are more valuable in domination mode, and there's a lot of destroyers. So cruisers are the main threats to the destroyers, which are the main compositions of the teams, and the battleship is the main threats to the main threat of the main composition of each team. So if that makes sense, we could put a bit of a priority on the Texas, at least when we're analyzing the game early on. Now we team up with our team there, take out the T-22 on the enemy team for the first kill here. And we're not off to a bad start here. Unfortunately, we're having a little bit of trouble here. Both of the destroyers on the side are still kind of stacked, and whenever that happens, if they happen to be behind islands and they can't see anything, then neither of them can see anything. So we're trying to utilize the smoke over here that we've deployed, but we weren't getting spotted heretofore until now. Now we're able to utilize it. Going to get some shots in the Fubuki, hoping this Texas creeps forward enough that we could potentially get some torps his way, but you can see he's sailing away from us. So we got to be mindful of the situation. We have deployed the sonar. Usually in the German destroyers, I like to use the sonar as a smoke sonar combo to attack other destroyers. That means you can hide in the cloud, potentially see them via your sonar, and kill them due to that advantage. In this case, though, we used it earlier just because there's a lot of destroyers running around. We were in the smoke, which is a tempting target for enemy destroyers, and we wanted to make sure we were going to get an early read on those torps if they were coming. Now, you saw the Pensacola was backing up a little bit there, and we kind of launched some torps thinking maybe we'd be able to get him his way. And then we're gunning this Texas. We're keeping an eye on his guns. He's pointing southward towards those destroyers that are near him. And then one of the torps actually hits, and it's a Nürnbergo that's popping up. He's closing in. Nuremberg, very dangerous to any destroyers in the game. Very fast reload. It's got its own German sonar, so there's a lot of factors going on with the Nuremberg. We got to be careful of him. Looking on the map here, though, look at it. He's perfectly broadside. Switch over to the AP, and just as he's coming around the bend, we get the shot off. He begins to angle. We still get a decent shot there. We get a little bit of extra fire chiming in from our teammates on him. Once he angles away, we switch back to the HE. We'd like to shoot this Gnevi if possible, but he gets torped by the Mutsuki there. And note the Mutsuki just launched his torps, and he's got the battleship closing in. That's going to be kind of the end of that Mutsuki. So we need to get rid of this Nuremberg here. If you shot one salvo of AP, I was like, okay, maybe doesn't understand the shell selection, immediately switches over to HE, and now I'm like, okay, he definitely understands shell selection. We got to get moving, pulling forward. Would like to get rid of him, though. You can see we're up 5 ships to 4, and if we can kill him here, and we're hammering with the AP, then we're going to have a pretty decisive advantage here, at least on paper. So he turns in, trying to angle just at the end, but we got the final salve-off for the coup de grace on the Nuremberg. Now, at this point, I had enough going on with my own game that I thought, when I'm looking on the map here, okay, that's a destroyer suicide rushing that battleship. I didn't really remember that he had just launched that torp at the Gnievi that was over there. So he goes down. I was kind of leaving him for his own fate, just assuming he would point blank torp him like most destroyers like to do these days. But he goes down, and that leaves the Texas, and we got a Pensacola on the base, and then we got one red destroyer all the way off into the western side of the map being pursued by our destroyer over here. We also have a Dallas, I believe, on our base, and then we got us. Initially, I was making a play here to potentially get on the base. Wasn't sure where the Pensacola is. And this is where the planes really start to influence this game. Check this out. Line up an AP shot, and I pull the trigger, and just as I do, I'm like, ah! He had just launched the plane. I had missed that when I was getting ready to go there. Wasn't paying close enough attention. He launches the plane. We got pretty good cover against this island. I think we would have dropped spot. I was just trying to get a free shot on him there because this game is pretty dicey in terms of how we're going to win this here. But that ended up being a major mistake. Now, luckily, we dropped spot from that plane there. Detection drops back down after seconds there. And notice these torps, we just basically aimed them on the indicator. A little bit of a spread on that Texas, but he's going to make a classic early, a beginner type battleship type of mistake as we get a little bit of damage on the Pensacola there. He's not dodging the torps. Okay, so it's going to, this is kind of a conventional spread for me. I was kind of going for a shot, assuming he was going to keep going forward because he didn't really know where I was, or perhaps he's in a pursuit pattern because I think he actually did shoot at me when we spotted him. But there, had we actually grouped him tightly, we might have killed him. Nevertheless, now I'm noticing the light American cruiser on the team pushing in. There's no cover there. He might be a little bit fed up with me at this point in time because I'm not really spotting for him. But if I recognized that he was going to be playing the island cover and was looking for some spotting, let's say he asked for intelligence data, for instance, then I would have potentially moved southward. It would have taken a minute, but I would have moved southward, spotted for this guy. He could have burned the Texas down. Then we'd have a 2-on-1 against that Pensacola, and I think we could have rinsed and repeated. Once again, I could have spotted the Pensacola. Dallas could have fired at him safely, and we could have won fairly easily. Instead, he takes the much more challenging and lower probability route and tries to rush the battleship and gets rocked absolutely. So now we're in a bit of a pickle here. I only got a third of my health left, just shy of 6,000 here. We got a Texas closing in, who's pressuring our base, and I can't get on their base, even if I wanted to affect the score that way. The Pensacola's last seen sitting on there. So we got to recognize now we're within 100 points of them. All right. So if I kill this Texas, then we're actually primed to win on score. So once again, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They might be making some speed adjustments, some heading adjustments. So I give them a little bit of a spread there. We didn't stack the torps once again. But the player, you need to understand as the battleship player, I understand this guy's new, so we're not going to criticize him. But when you're being spotted and you're looking on the map saying, who can spot me? I don't see any ships. I don't see any cruisers or battleships in my blue detection ring. That means the destroyer's there. The destroyer's probably going to torp you. Okay, destroyers love to torp battleships. And in this case, it's critical for the win condition. Because if we can take him down, then we're actually up 5 points, and we can win the game as long as I survive there. So got him to flood, and then he damaged on the flood, so I was trying to start him on fire there. And now I'm thinking, okay, this is getting rough. Pensacola might just be sitting on the base, or he's more likely rushing towards me. So I'm thinking, okay, let's back up here. Let's try and start one more. We'll start another fire, or we'll attempt to, with one more HE salvo. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know what we're going to do here. Because the Pensacola does have quite a bit more health. We saw him. I hit him with one Citadel earlier, but he should have about 2/3, 3/4 of his health at this point in time. And now look at this plane here. This is the key part of the game from my perspective here. I'm watching that thing and I'm saying, okay, looks like the plane's about 4 or 5 kilometers away. That's suggesting to me he's coming our way here. So we're actually going to launch one torp on that gap. And then we're going to go ahead and launch one more torp on the indicator towards this guy, the Texas, because once again, he's not demonstrating that he recognizes he needs to be moving, changing speed, heading whatsoever. So rather than trying to get desperate here, trying to gun that guy down, potentially eat a salve on return and throw the game, we recognize, look at the time on the clock. We've had 7-8 minutes. It's down to about 5.5 here. We got time to play with. And then look at that. The torp hits the Pensacola. I recognize he's moving into that central lake area. I'm trying to get around to that base, pressure him. At this point in time, I'm assuming the torp's going to hit the Texas. And I'm thinking if I can get on the base, pressure him, then I can kind of assume based on the twist and track where he's going to be coming from. He's either got to go through the gap in the middle or come around the end. But look at this. At this point in time, I thought I threw this. He knows where we are. We're smoking, sonoring, speed boosting. He's angling in, but we get him with the AP for a whack there, and down he goes. So kind of an exciting finish there, in my opinion. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time for you. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.